Hello, everyone, and it is that time once again. It is time once again for a WWE pay-per-view. This one is Payback, and it's time to do predictions for the show itself. Obviously, Payback coming up this Sunday is actually a decent amount of time away from WrestleMania, so it's not like really close. It's not really close to WrestleMania. It's almost been a month since we've had a pay-per-view, so it's been a little bit of time. Kind of had a little bit of a break on the terms of pay-per-views in the sense of everything leading into and after WrestleMania. So to go along with everything, there are eight matches on the show, but you also got two matches that are going to be having SmackDown guys on there because of how the superstar shakeup ended up happening with everything here. So, with that being said, let's start with the kickoff show, which is going to be Enzo and Cass going up against Gallows and Anderson. At this point in time, I don't see them putting Enzo and Cass into the tag title picture against the Hardys, which is going to be a little bit of spoiler, or even with both teams being the face. I don't see them going into a program with either Cesaro, Sheamus, or the Hardys with this particular match. So I feel like at this point in time, just let's not do 50-50 booking. And I'm going to end up predicting that Gallows and Anderson are going over, especially with the fact that the Revival is going to be out for a little while due to Dash Wilder's jaw injury. So they're going to be out for a little while. So they need a stronger heel tag team at this time. And if they're not going to go that route with Cesaro and Sheamus or another tag team, I think Gallows and Anderson kind of fit that bill here. Have them kind of feud with the Hardys until the Revival comes back to go along with everything. So, yeah, I feel like with that aspect of it, sorry, I have an itch on my nose. You should probably, I feel like Gallows and Anderson will go over. So I'm predicting Gallows and Anderson. Up next is the Cruiserweight title match, which is going to be Neville versus Austin Aries. And, I know they had Neville go over at WrestleMania. And Austin Aries is probably going to be the one that ends out taking that title off of Neville somewhere down the road. Like, in the terms of Cruiserweight superstars, he's one of the more over ones. He's one of the more recognizable ones, along with Neville, to go along with everything. But I don't think this is going to be the night. They have that whole new wrinkle in there with T.J. Perkins being on Neville's side, so they can do something to continue on this feud down the road. And I feel like they're going to have Neville go over in this particular match. Up next, this match, in the terms of everything, was hard to predict. And it is the Raw Women's title match with Bayley and Alexa Bliss. Why is this one hard to predict? Well, they're in Bayley's hometown. Now, as you had seen in recent trends, and you can even throw this on the women's strictly on the women's division side as well. In recent trends, Naomi won twice in her hometown, one at WrestleMania and then one on the SmackDown after WrestleMania. So she won twice there. And then Alexa Bliss won in her hometown in Columbus to get the #1 contendership. So recent trends say that Bayley wins. But we've also seen the fact that we've seen more likely than not, outside of this recent trend, that being in your hometown equals you job the match in some way. So it can either go either way here. Now, I feel like what they're going for is a Sasha Banks-Bayley feud. Whether it be for the title or not, you're going to probably get that somewhere down the road here. I feel like they're going to have it with the title, so I feel like Bayley's going to go over here. I'm actually going to, I think in all of these predictions, I've never picked Bayley once on the pay-per-view to win. So naturally, she's going to lose in this one, just because I'm going to be picking Bayley to go along with it. But I feel like they're going with a Sasha Banks-Bayley feud, and it will be for the title. I feel like it needs the title as part of that feud. It can't just necessarily be a grudge match between the two of them without the title. They could do that somewhere down the road, but the title will more likely be on the line when those two start feuding sometime later this year, which might be either after this or sometime closer to SummerSlam. We'll see what they decide to go with. Up next is the Hardys versus Cesaro and Sheamus. I really don't see them taking those belts off the Hardys quite yet. They're still in that little nostalgic area after coming back and everything. We don't know what the areas of the broken gimmick are going to happen, or is WWE going to be getting the rights to the broken universe? Is Matt Hardy going to go in there? What are they going to go with Jeff Hardy afterwards and everything in that sense? I don't think it's time for them to actually. It's not time for them to actually drop those titles, though. You could say that they could be dropping those titles to Cesaro and Sheamus at the pay-per-view, because Cesaro and Sheamus lost one-on-one matches going in there, and other trends kind of say it's like, oh, who goes over last usually doesn't go over at the pay-per-view. But I don't think they're going to be taking those titles off of the Hardys quite yet. I feel like they could do that feud, do another feud with maybe Gallows and Anderson, kind of an actual full feud out of it, or they could do something where Cesaro and Sheamus turn heel in this particular match after the match or something like that. After they lose one more time, they kind of screw this whole being nice thing, and they just kind of attack the Hardys afterwards. So we'll see where they end up going. I'm going with the Hardys on this one. And yeah, like I said, I don't think it's time for them to get rid of the tag titles off of them quite yet. Up next is Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. This is kind of a given. Most people know Jericho's going off the Fozzy at this point in time. I think this match is going to be really good. I'm not going to get you wrong. I'm not going to get it wrong on this one. I think this match will end up being a really good match. Both of them know how to put on a really good match, but Kevin Owens goes over. There's no real other pick right now, because a lot of people know there's going to be a sabbatical where Jericho's going to be gone, and they've just started this whole Kevin Owens Face of America thing. This feels like a long-term thing for that U.S. title with Kevin Owens. So I don't see them having him drop that title that quickly to Chris Jericho after winning it at WrestleMania. Up next is Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe. You know, this is another match that was not too easy to pick, because I don't feel like they should be... you don't feel like either one of them should really be eating a loss at the pay-per-view. Seth Rollins just, momentum after WrestleMania and everything in that sense says he should win, but Samoa Joe, it's not really time to have him have eat a defeat or anything in that sense at this point in time. Me personally, I feel like they're gonna go with Samoa Joe. It's one of those bits that it's like it's just not time for him to eat a loss yet. In any way, like even on pay-per-view, it shouldn't be time for him to do that. Like Seth Rollins, I think, needs to struggle a little bit within this portion of the feud, and then eventually get his win somewhere down the line. But I feel like Samoa Joe goes over here. Though I could totally see this match. I could totally see Seth Rollins winning as well. Like they do some kind of distraction type area, or he catches a roll up or something in that sense. But if he does win, I don't feel like he would win it in a full-on decisive win in that sense of it. So I feel like Samoa Joe will go over, maybe in a more decisive or maybe in a less decisive way as well, but they will be continuing on this feud after this particular match. Up next is that lovely, lovely, lovely House of Horrors match. Oh man, I just hope this match is interesting. This is one of those matches that it could be so bad it's good, or it could be really just bad, or it could just be very interesting to see what they do with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton inside of this match. Now, from what they've said on TV, what we heard Corey Graves saying is that this match starts off in the House of Horrors, so I'm assuming it's going to be videotaped somewhere. somewhere else, and then it eventually leads into the arena. So it's going to be like one of those old boiler room brawls with Mankind and the Undertaker, or what Mankind had done with the boiler room brawls, that they start off in the boiler room and they eventually make their way out to the ring, and that's where the match ends out. Ends up for its finish. The aspect, yes, Randy Orton is the WWE champion, but I don't think the title's on the line here. And I think this is a good way of trying to build up Bray, because they're going to have Bray kind of going after Finn Balor or maybe Dean Ambrose or something like this after this match. And Bray needs that win to kind of garner okay, he's a threat to these guys now. So have him go over Bray Wyatt here, or have Bray Wyatt go over Randy Orton in this match. It doesn't look like it's for the title, especially with the way that they had Jinder Mahal go off with the title on SmackDown. Makes you kind of indicate that this match is not for the title in any way. It's just kind of a blow-off match to their feud. And it will just be interesting to see what they do. Like, how do they set up the House of Horrors? Is it somewhere in the bowels of the arena and it's just like different rooms, or do they portray it as like, oh, this house is like right next to the arena or something like that? Like, what weapons will they come up with and everything to go along with it? It's one of those things. It's intriguing. It could end up being like the worst thing that they've ever done, I mean, like since Kennel from Hell, from the Kennel from Hell match, or it could come off really good. I don't know how this match is gonna go, and it's at least got me intrigued enough to see what's this gonna be, and hopefully it ends up coming off good. But I'm going with Bray Wyatt on this one. I feel like if they're gonna have him go into a feud with Finn Balor, they need to make him a threat. They need to make Bray Wyatt a threat. And if the title's not on the line, why not put him over? Make him a threat. Instead of what they typically do with Bray Wyatt, which is he comes out there, he cuts promos. And don't get me wrong, I like Bray Wyatt and I like his promos, but then he loses in the end. Put him over. Put Bray Wyatt over. Please, make him a threat. So this leads me to what I think is going to be the main event of the night, though it could easily be Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho as well. But it will be Roman Reigns going up against Braun Strowman. Now, we saw this match at Fastlane. I thought the match was good with an ending that shouldn't probably have happened. I don't feel like they should have had Roman go over clean on Braun Strowman. This time around, I feel like they're putting Strowman over. Reasons being, they have an out right now. Like, Roman Reigns hasn't shown up because of his injury, so he could still be selling his injuries at the pay-per-view. You kind of got an out. It doesn't make him look that weak because he had to fight through the injuries to try to fight Braun Strowman. Also, it does seem like they want to build up Braun for a match with Brock Lesnar. Why not put him over Roman Reigns? Seems logical. It makes him a threat to Brock. In that sense of it, if you put him over, go with it. I think I'm gonna stick with this one. I could easily see them going with Roman Reigns winning this match, but I'm going with Braun Strowman just on the aspect. It's like, hey, you've got this thing where it could be Braun versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam or at another pay-per-view or something to go along with it. Should put him over someone big, and why not put him over Roman? And like I said, they don't necessarily make Roman look weak because he has they can have him selling those injuries from a few weeks back, and that's kind of their out to go along with it. So, yeah, that's pretty much the predictions. I've got a lot of heels this time. I think I only have 2 baby faces winning. I'm going to totally be wrong on a bunch of these, and I just feel it. I feel I'm going to be wrong on it, but whatever. I'm going with all these picks that I've done. So those are my predictions for Payback's pay-per-view this weekend. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.